biggest news first. Someone's smiling. Well, what we'd like to do is, and I'm very gracious and thankful that you guys joined us this year. Every year they provide updates on what's going on in the cities and town and county, both from a commercial standpoint, housing standpoint, and also what's going on in the city, whether it's infrastructure or capital improvements you have planned. So I'll start with Rachel. Let's go ahead and dive into, yes, I think the mic should be live. Let's dive into commercial development. What happened in 2022 and what do you see happening in 2023?
Thank you very much, Jason. Hesperia continues to see quite a bit of industrial development. As was shared earlier, we have 12 million square feet of industrial development in the development process right now. And so that means that, especially along the freeway corridor, development is bustling. We have the opportunity to add upwards of 10,000 jobs as a result of those projects, both temporary and permanent, and that's a big deal for our region. And so that keeps the city very, very busy. We understand that a lot of our residents across the Mojave Valley are looking for opportunities for employment here in the region, and so this is much needed and welcomed. And while that was true last year, it continues to be true this year. We continue to have conversations with developers on further interests in the freeway corridor in that respect, and so we don't anticipate that changing anytime soon.
And interesting, 12 million square feet, to put it in perspective, we only hit 20 million square feet of total industrial development a few years ago, and yet we have 12 million just in the city of Hesperia currently being planned. That tells you how quickly industrial is expanding in this area. Doug, I believe the town of Apple Valley has a little bit of development also in North Apple Valley.
Yeah, it's if you own land in North Apple Valley, it's going to be a good year for you. I'm going to ask staff not to send data points to you for next year. Bob already talked about most of this, but we do have 4.6 million actually in our entitlement process right now. I won't look over at my staff right now when I say that there's probably at least double that also still in discussions. Obviously some of that may be developer who's talking to multiple landowners, so we don't know if that's duplicative of what we've already got in-house or perhaps just shopping around. But I think our numbers are pretty similar to Hesperia's if we look a little further into the future. So that has generated renewed commercial development opportunities in North Apple Valley that we're excited about. Obviously there's a train coming. I don't want to talk too much about that because you'll have a full presentation on that, but we're looking forward to those 10 to 13,000 construction jobs. We're looking forward to the 20,000 new jobs coming to Barstow as well, because we know that when they start shopping for a home, they're going to start looking at Apple Valley. So we're thrilled that the whole valley is growing. So Bob mentioned it's what it is, right? It's not an accident that we were the best place to live living in money. We're not competitive at all. By the way, I have to point out, I've been doing this a little while. When we first started, Jason, I was the young guy on the panel. I had dark hair, and I went gray in Victor Valley, went white in Apple Valley, and now I don't even care enough to shave anymore. So. But light is good enough.
Just for clarification, when you started the town of Apple Valley, you didn't have gray hair. I'm just saying.
No, when I started in Victorville turned me gray, Apple Valley turned me white. I don't know what's going on there. But in addition to the north end, we also recently had 45,000 square feet of medical office building open up in Apple Valley as well. So we're thrilled about that. We're looking at some financing districts to help pay for all the infrastructure that's going to be needed in the north end of our city. So that's it in a nutshell, other than what you already gave to Bob and Jared earlier today.
Really? And so I can't ask you about Sprouts.
You know, I heard a rumor about Sprouts coming to Apple Valley. I may have been on a conference call, a Zoom call with their CEO not long ago, maybe even a week ago. But we're, as you know, we're pretty conservative about talking about any plans that are in-house until they get through every entitlement, because there are folks in the world, and it will shock everybody, there are folks in the world who, I don't want to say they don't want to see development. They see development, and they start to salivate just a little bit, because there's opportunity for them there to talk to that development about conservation and important issues that they care deeply, deeply about, and then settle for a large sum of money in order to have talks about those issues. So we tend to be conservative on that side. So.
Shake hands. Oh, there's Mike's line. Sorry. So, well, I'll go ahead and dive in. Tony, you guys have quite a bit going on also.
Yeah, so I think,
Speaking of Sprouts.
like our neighboring cities, we're seeing a lot of commercial development, mostly industrial, thanks to the efforts with our developer Prologis. Last year we constructed 2.4 million square feet of industrial. Among that developer, anchoring that development was Amazon, which recently opened 2 weeks ago. It's currently expected to bring 1,000 jobs to the community. Among that 2.4 million square feet is a Mars pet care distribution facility, as well as a large warehouse and storage facility for Iron Mountain. So we do have a 475,000 square foot industrial building being constructed out at Southern California Logistics Airport now, and we have at least 2 million more in the pipeline. That, just to kind of put it in perspective, all the development last year equates to almost all of the square footage over the past 22 years. So SCLA is booming. We're definitely seeing some growth out there. I kind of just want to get a show of hands, but anyone in the audience, do you guys remember playing the former West Winds golf course out of SCLA or George Air Force Base? So there's a few of you. So recently we just sold that property to Covington, who's our other developer. That property consisted of 166 acres for $13 million, and there's almost approximately 1.5 million square feet planned to be developed there. So we're seeing some growth continue out at SCLA. And if you guys haven't been out there, I keep saying booming, but it's booming out there. So I encourage you to drive out there, take a look at it. And SCLA continues to be the largest employment center. They're offering over 3,400 jobs in the big valley. So we're excited to bring more jobs to the community and look forward to the industrial growth. And I think, like the other manager said, is we're going to see the growth continue in industrial amongst all.
That's great. Any type of retail?
Yeah, so on our retail, we do have last year we welcomed 200 commercial permits with 69 business retailers, such as Six Beans, Vegan Vato, Dutch Brothers, and a part of that is there's under construction of the large Carmax on Roy Rogers, as well as the Superior Grocery. So I know you've mentioned it before, and the city of Victorville did host a post release and social media post last week announcing Sprouts coming to Victorville. So we are excited to announce that. You should see that opening in the fourth quarter of 23.
That was before Apple Valley, right? Yes. Just leveling the field, Doug.
Hey, Tony, I closed that golf course in the recession in 2009, by the way, just to let you know. You're welcome.
Well, thank you. There's a reason you closed it. So yeah, Sprouts will be the first in the Victor Valley. We're excited about that. So all of those who commute down the hill to drive to Sprouts to get your healthy food, you won't have to drive from there anymore, as everything will be local. And hopefully we'll welcome one if Doug's eventually able to get one in Mountain Valley. But for now, it's just the Victor Valley.
Thank you. Cody, thank you for driving over. As I mentioned earlier, Billy is not feeling well this morning, but Cody at the last minute jumped in, so thank you. So, City of Barstow, we won't attack big yet. What else is going on in Barstow besides the obviously big project?
Yeah, we'll hold off to that announcement a little bit later. So I appreciate the invitation. So City of Barstow right now is an absolutely exciting time. We've got construction on the long-awaited First Avenue Bridge project. It's a joint project between the city, SBCTA, and the BNSF Railway in preparation of City of Barstow's expansion. We signed a recently approved the service contract with PlaceWorks, widely recognized consulting agency, to assist with the city with the update of the general plan, with the expectation of the large growth that we're expecting in our region. The new 178-room Marriott is scheduled to open up early summer of 2023. We've got various restaurants such as Freddy's and Panda Express that are also in construction and were recently opened. City Council also approved a combination of approximately 29 different cannabis applications, revitalizing an old vacant mall area with various dispensary operations, as well as cultivation, manufacturing, distribution. So the city of Barstow, we've got various industrial properties that are also in entitlement that I won't talk about, at least at this moment in time, but the city of Barstow right now is absolutely excited.
Now, you're talking about a former mall. He says that like it's like 3 stores. It's the former Factory Merchants Mall of over 300,000 square feet. Even Snoop Dogg would be a little bit impressed with that. I guess you need a cannabis outlet. That's perfect. So. Derek, County San Bernardino, thank you for joining us today. What's going on in the county as far as commercial, industrial development?
Yeah, thank you for having me as well. I appreciate all the speakers and hearing about all the projects. So I think for the county, we're able to support a lot of the projects, and I've been able to meet with some of the folks here to talk about, whether it's BIG or SCLA or some of the other projects that are occurring. But the one thing that I think that we haven't heard during this today is that we've heard a lot of hope about companies wanting to be here and the growth and all the excitement, along with some of the uncertainty. Is that I think this area, the high desert, is going to be the area of growth for the county, more so than the other parts of the county. Typically, we talk about the East and West Valley, Ontario, Fontana, Rancho, those areas. But the truth is that there's not a lot of large tracts of land to do big projects there. And in addition to that, it's harder to do projects there than this here, just due to some of the regulations as it equates to air quality and some of the other things that occur. So if I could leave you with a big announcement, other than this is the last panel that will be speaking before brackets will be busted in the NCAA tournament, is that the high desert's the area that a lot of this growth that will come. And we're seeing that. And the good thing from my position is I get to deal with companies as they're looking at different areas, and they're starting to look here more and more. And so I think and I feel that the growth in this area will continue to develop. It will continue to be strong. Some of the uncertainty with the increase in mortgage rates and Pennsylvania projects might come a little bit of struggle over the next couple of years, but those are temporary issues that we'll get through. And the long-term growth in this area is very promising. And during your last presentation, you had briefly mentioned foreign investment as well. And we are starting to see a lot of foreign investors looking to locate companies in San Bernardino County as well. Typically, those have gone to Orange and LA County, just to be close to the LA markets, but we're seeing more and more of that demand here. Talking about markets like China and Japan and South Korea, Singapore, those Southeast Asian countries are looking to San Bernardino County to enter the U.S. market. So those are great things as well. But one of the things that I think about in economic development is really setting the stage for continued growth. Right? We have all these projects, but how do you then support it for what's next? And so as I was preparing for this, I wanted to take one of those sectors, and that's really renewable energies, because that's really a hot topic, and trying to be able to forecast or try to see that if there's going to be available energy for projects in the future. And just a quick overview, for approved under construction and projects that are under plan just for solar, it equates to, in the high desert, so in the first district, who's the sponsor for the event, there's projects that cover over 10,000 acres, so 10,305 acres, representing 2,113 megawatts of energy. to equate that into houses, and it depends on how much a house uses for electricity and how many Teslas they have. It's roughly about, that supports roughly 2 million homes. So that's a tremendous amount of solar energy that's coming into just this area. And we're talking to companies that are looking to do other renewables as well, including hydrogen or others. So I think that there's a promise that there's going to be increased capacity for additional energy as we move forward.
That's great. Thank you.
And I'll take that one too.
Jesse, thank you. How's Atlanta doing? I'm going to first ask you about commercial development, and then industrial, and then we'll segue into housing. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Jason. You know, the city of Atlanta has come a long way in a very short period of time. First of all, Jason, thank you for hosting these symposiums. It's just a platform where we can all come together and share what's happening in our individual cities. Everything and anything that happens amongst our cities has an impact. As Doug said a moment, we're going to have Barstow residents living in Apple Valley, and that is the case. I'll tell you, you can't drive south on the 15 freeway 395 without seeing these amazing warehouses in Hesperia. You can't drive north heading towards Vegas and not see all the amazing things that are happening in the Barstow area with BNSF, the Barstow outlets, and you can't, I mean, Apple Valley, what can you not say about the town of Apple Valley? It's amazing here. Keith, I'll tell you, Keith Metzler, who is not here with us today, tell me please extend our regards and our sincere gratitude for everything that is happening at the former George Air Force Base, Southern California Logistics Airport. That too has a tremendous impact on what's happening in the city of Atlanta. It just spills over. We talked about solar. We have a 1,200-acre solar farm currently underway, and the off-taker is going to be the Amazon Fulfillment Center that you currently have at the airport. So we in the city of Atlanta started a little bit different, where we immediately embarked in creating jobs. We have 2 industrial parks in our area. We have a very unique city with 2 industrial parks. We're 55 square miles. We're about, 18% built out. And so that's a tremendous opportunity for additional warehouse distribution and other types of economic development opportunities. So we talked about cannabis a moment ago. That was one of the low-hanging fruits for us at the time where we embarked on that, and that is bringing the city about $4.5 million in tax revenues. And so to this point, to this time, it's still a sustainable industry that's growing on its own. No pun intended. We're now focusing on other types of industries. As I mentioned, solar, a big deal. Hydrogen, we're moving in that direction as well. We recently attracted companies such as Clark Pacific that's going to be breaking ground on phase 2. They've shut down their Fontana operations. It's one of Southern California's largest concrete precast manufacturers in our city on 110 acres. We attracted Copart into our city, one of the largest auto online dealers in the country. They're on 100 acres. General Atomics, General Dynamics is also in our city. So these are aerospace companies that we're really excited to have. As far as your questions, commercial, is that what you asked, Jason?
Yes, commercial, industrial.
Yeah, we're going vertical on the Adelanto Town Center that is located on Highway 395 and Mojave. It's a long-awaited project that it's going to be a gas station, convenience store, and several commercial retail pads on phase 1. There's about 3 phases, I believe, 3 or 4 phases, and after the first phase is completed, the additional phases will continue. We have a hotel, 100 suite Holiday Inn hotel coming in at the intersection of Air Expressway and 395 directly across the street from City Hall. And we also have a travel center coming in at the intersection of Rancho Road and Highway 395. So all of that's going to support the events that are taking place at our stadium on a weekend basis. So we're really excited about what's happening in our city right now.
That's amazing, and especially 4.7 million in tax revenue created from the cannabis industry.
That is correct.
So Cody's hoping to do the same with a little mall. So Rachel, I'm going to turn back to you on housing, and for the convenience of time, I'll also ask you about any infrastructure and capital improvements and projects in the city of Australia.
Thank you. As was mentioned earlier, we still have quite a bit of interest in multi-family housing with waiting lists for vacancies there at all the project sites, and so it's a really good indicator